Ladies and gentlemen, gather around for a unique look into the world of custom motorcycling. We've gathered some of the industry's top builders and fabricators on this stage to show you their skills live and in person. Watch as they chop, grind, and weld their creations into existence right before your very eyes. Feel free to ask questions at any time directly to your host, Pat Jansen. The doors to the shop are open, so pull up a stool, kick back, and welcome to the Grease and Gears Garage.
Clap. That includes you, just because you got your back to him. I'm watching you now. Now you're mine. Now you're my huckleberry. All right, my name's Pat Jansen. This is Grease and Gears Garage. What is Grease and Gears Garage? We're basically a bunch of greasy, dirty mechanics. We travel around the country. There's 4 of us. There's Heather, myself, and Mark Persichetti, and Chris Callan. Chris and Mark have flat broke chops and rods out of Pittsburgh. I have Sin Central Garage out of Des Moines, Iowa. But we carry our tools around the country, and we invite friends of ours, other custom motorcycle builders, to join us on stage and give people a little bit of a slice of life out of a custom motorcycle shop for a few minutes. Our goal here today is to inspire you, educate you, hopefully entertain you a little bit. But more than anything, it is to inspire and educate. Whether you're riding a dirt bike, a Yamaha, a Honda, a BMW, a Harley, whatever it is, we want to get you in touch with your motorcycle. We want to get your hands on it, and so that you can do something to it. Either make it perform in a way that is more suited to your riding style, or change something on it aesthetically that allows you to know in a sea of other bikes if that's your bike. So we're just custom motorcycle guys. And the Progressive International Motorcycle Show has been kind enough to have us here. This is the last show out of a 7-show series. And we've just had a great time doing that. We're also Facebook Living all of these segments. So a good, for instance, is I just ate peanut M&Ms. I feel like I have I just spit at you. Did you see that? It'll taste like chocolate if I got it on your face. But anyway, a good for instance is we're building a bike from scratch from a frame-up build, and that thing is going to run and ride off stage tomorrow. We started that in Long Beach at the first show. You can go back on Facebook. You can do Cycle Source magazines, social media, JMP Cycles, who's a great partner of ours. You can go to motorcycleshows.com, which is the Progressive International Motorcycle Show main page. And you can go back and you can look at all of those different segments that we've done. We've narrowed tanks, built springers, done a lot of really cool stuff. So this too, if you end up needing to leave early, or somebody shows up a little late, or if whatever, you're going to be able to go back and look at this stuff. Today we're really excited. We got a good friend of mine, Hank Thibodeau, which you'd think he's from Louisiana. He's not. He's from North Carolina. And with a good Cajun name like that, that's a great name. But now you're going to be doing something. I really, truly am excited about what you're doing. In my world, we tend to be really Harley-centric.
Right.
And, mostly for me, it's what I was, the first bike when I was 15 years old, an old panhead. So that's just what I got used to doing. And I've worked on a couple of victories, and I built one bike out of a Royal Enfield this past year for Royal Enfield North America. Other than that, I'm a Harley guy. You are going to be showing us some stuff to do on a Honda, yep. Some maintenance stuff, which is good to do, which regardless of whether or not you're building a custom bike or just trying to maintain your bike, this is something you're going to need to know anyway. So, Hank, tell me a little bit about you and where your shop is and what you kind of specialize in.
My name's Hank Thibodeau with Widowmaker Custom Design and Repair. We're in Rougemont, North Carolina. We're a full-service shop. We do everything from hand-built bikes, one-off components, to anything that goes on the road. We're motorcycle enthusiasts. We love motorcycles. It really doesn't matter the brand or type of bike you ride, but we are there for all of our customers.
And if you guys know anything about local shops in your area as you go around, that's truly unique to your situation. Honestly, you're the only shop I know that I could say off the top of my head, knowing thousands of shops across the country, that works on absolutely whatever rolls through the door. I mean, that's impressive. I mean, And mostly, well, there's a variety of reasons. One is because of the...
I like to pay the bills.
Yeah, well, you like to pay the bills. Yeah. Obviously, I like to eat. Maybe I need to start doing some Honda work. But not only does it take a plethora of specialty tools because you're cross brands, but it also takes such a vast knowledge base. So that impresses me about you right off the bat. So even though he's not much to look at,
no.
He must be pretty smart, or he knows how to read. Because
I can look at the pictures.
You can look at the pictures. That's
all
good.
service manuals have pictures.
Yeah, I'm glad you figured out they weren't scratch and sniff though. He was destroying manuals that way.
Got expensive.
That's right. So great builder. He's got you've got two bikes here. If you walked out of here and walked straight up this side, and you see a bike out there that, how long is that bike?
11 feet.
11 feet. I thought my bike was long. I said I got a bike this weekend with my son at the Mama Tried show in Milwaukee, and I had to be here obviously. So I said, you got to take it. They went to put it. You'll love this. They went to put it in the freight elevator because the show's on the 3rd floor of this facility. And the freight elevator was 4x8. My bike that I built for Royal Enfield's 10.5 feet long. So 6 guys had to carry it up 3 flights of stairs today. I'm so glad I missed that show.
I good thing it's a small motor.
Yeah, good. Thank God it was a smaller motor. Yeah, if that had been a Harley, I'd have said just leave it outside and send them pictures. But so anyway, but you walk right up here on the left. Your bikes are sitting up there, beautiful, just absolutely phenomenal, crazy bikes. I mean, they're out of this world bikes, over the top, lots of craftsmanship, lots of curves and angles. But check out his 11-foot chopper up there. I love that one. So Hank, what are you doing for us today?
Today we're going to do a basic job that we see come in the shop a lot. A basic clutch job on most metric bikes is very similar. So we chose a VTX 1800 because it's a very common bike. A lot of people ride this particular bike, and it's really user-friendly, easy to work on. In about 15-20 minutes, we'll be able to swap out a clutch in this bike, and no specialty tools, really. To save a little bit of time, I went ahead and pulled the exhaust off of it and drained the engine oil already out of it, so we don't have a mess.
Because these motors, which are different than Harley motors, these are unit construction.
Correct. These are not like Harley's a dry sump. This is a wet sump bike.
Wet sump bike. All right.
So your engine oil, transmission oil is all one unit, which comes into play where people ask what kind of oils they should use. Having a basic knowledge of what types of oils, your climate that you're in, plays a really huge role in what oil you should be putting in your bike.
Vegetable oil, canola oil,
biodiesel,
whatever.
Any of those are all good.
Yeah, bacon grease.
So
all right, where we start? You look at you got all this stuff over here.
Hey, I came prepared.
You came prepared. Hank's also got a really cool deal. Do you just make the intakes for Harleys?
No, actually, I made my intake systems for Kawasaki's, for Hondas, for Harleys, actually even the new Harley Street 750s.
Hank has a really cool air cleaner that most of them are just a swoop, or kind of a 90-degree swoop. His is a 90, but it has a point at the back.
The recumbent bend.
Right at the bend. And what it does is, and he says he didn't plan this, it just was a happy accident, but I know he planned it. Or at least it was a great happy accident. But what his intake allows you to do is it allows you to have a pocket of reserve air in that point so that when you get on it, it doesn't have to travel. It saves you that 6 inches. And in terms of math, that's huge to be able to have that air right there, and it gives you tremendous throttle response. So you might want to check that out too. Now, I won't disturb you anymore and try to sell your products and make you more money. I'll let you do this work for free.
All right. Basically, we're going to start with, we've already taken the exhaust system off the bike. We've already wanted to drain our oil and all that stuff. I've already done all of that. So on this setup, we're going to go ahead and take our forward control assembly and brake pedal assembly off.
All right.
Just a basic 14-millimeter wrench.
And if you're on Facebook Live and have a question, shoot it out there. We've got Heather's in the back. She's watching Facebook for us. She'll shoot us those questions. And if anybody here has a question or needs to see something a little closer or wants to get hands-on, you're welcome. Just let me know, and we'll get you up here so you can really look at this. If you have a Honda and you're particularly or a metric bike and you're particularly interested in seeing how this actually works, you're more than welcome. We're inviting you basically into our shop here. So I know it's weird. I mean, honestly, if I had people come to my shop and just sit like you are and watch me, It'd freak me out because it's a little creepy. I just got to tell you, particularly you, sir. You're a little creepy. I'm just saying. I just met you earlier today, but a little big muscles though, so I won't pick on you too much. No, those aren't muscles, sir. That's it's not a muscle. I know him. That is not a muscle. But anyway, if you do have any questions or anything, please just feel free. If you need to see something else, you can come stand to the edge of the stage, get on the stage, whatever you need to do.
All right.
All right, Hank, what are you doing now?
Getting rid of jewelry. First thing, working. No jewelry.
No jewelry, because you might scratch something.
Well, you might electrocute yourself. Weld it.
Electrocute yourself. That's a big thing, too.
The first thing I usually do when I'm doing a clutch job, most importantly, soak your clutches. You want to soak them in whatever oil that you're going to be putting in the bike. This bike, we're going to use Bel-Ray 2050. So just a basic Ziploc bag. They say it doesn't have to be anything longer than 15 minutes. Time doesn't matter. It sits in the bike until you change the oil again. So as long as they're wet before they go in, you'll be fine. All right.
I guess this is also a good time if you're going to be doing this. You can keep going.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah, I don't want to disturb you. It's a good time right now too if you wanted to upgrade your side covers, get them powder coated or something. This is a great opportunity to do that. Send them out, have them engraved. Again, with Grease and Gears Garage, we're all about custom stuff. So even when you're doing maintenance things on your motorcycle, try to think ahead. Say, okay, I have to get this done. Even if you're not going to do it yourself, they're going to have this cover off to do this job. So what I'm going to ask them to do is give me that cover, and I'm going to take it out, and I'm going to have it re-chromed if it's gotten pitted or damaged or whatever, or I'm going to have it powder coated, or I'm going to have it engraved or, whatever. This is a great time to do some nice custom touches to your motorcycle as well.
Well, get the most bang for your buck.
Yeah, more bang for your buck. You got to pay to have them taken off and put back on anyway. If they're going to be off, you might as well do something with them. Because you can already tell, like on this bike, for instance, if you just took these covers and had a body shop blast them, get the chrome off of them, and color match them to the bike, I mean, that would all of a sudden, when you walk up to your bike, wow, man, that's my bike, and it's different than all the rest. It's kind of cool.
One thing I would like to add on this is when you're taking this clutch side cover off, all these bolts are different lengths. So make a point to use a Sharpie or something in an inconspicuous area. Create a starting point. Then that way, when you start, you go back and put it back in. You're not going to do that one's too long, that one's too short, that one's too long.
And if you think you might. Oh, you're not going to do this, so I'll mention it. Now you're going to lay these out in the order you take them out in, and he's going to lay them on a shop rag. You can get shop rags super cheap. Actually, you can go to J&P Cycles and walk by while the girl's not looking right there at their display. They're giving them away. Just grab a stand. Those are branded, but you want to use those. It keeps one thing. The nice thing is it creates friction, so that if you happen to bump it, your bolts don't go all over the place. The other thing you can do is you can get a piece of cardboard and you can stick them through cardboard, just shove them through cardboard in the order they go. That way, if for some reason you get distracted and have to leave the job, you know exactly where you were. So the guys that are up here, this is Chris. Chris, wave to the people, Chris. This is Chris Callan. He is one of my cohorts in crime with Grease and Gears Garage, and Mark from Flat Broke Chops and Rods. They're working on War Pony. We made the promise that War Pony was going to be a running, riding motorcycle by the last show, which the first show sounded like a good idea, and by the third show seemed like the worst deal ever. Last show, it was a real bad deal, and now it's all. We were here till 11 o'clock last night working on that bike, because we've only been working on it really at the shows. Now, Chris and Mark have done work on it at home a little bit, but then they realized that they hadn't done as much as they kind of thought they'd done at home on it. So, but that's going to be a really nice bike. You can go back and watch that thing go from a raw frame all the way to a completed motorcycle. What you got?
All right, so on this VTX, there is no gasket on this side cover. You want to make sure on the front end when you're buying your parts, or if you get a good parts guy, he'll suggest recommend a Permatex gray RTV, which is what we're going to use. This side cover doesn't exactly generally just fall off. I'd already taken the time to have it off, and so we'd be a little bit.
So you don't want me to kick?
You can.
but you'd prefer.
I'd rather you didn't, though.
I won't kick it off then.
No, there's actually it's pre-made pry points. So what you'd do is like a heel bar or something, hook it here on the side cover here. You can pry against the fins of the motor, put a rag there so you don't scratch it. And then there's another point back in here underneath the side cover. There's 2 alignment pins on here that will keep it from coming off.
Right on.
So on this one, look at that, just
look at that
magic.
And you can see they got the camera here. You can see the alignment pins if you look at the screens. Those are the way. That's how you know that you've gotten it on there right.
At this point, you'd want to prep our surface. More rags.
Yeah, more rags, more rags. Oh, I know we got more rags. I just saw them. Here, there's one, but I got more somewhere.
Okay. I'm a bit of a neat freak while I'm working. So.
Yeah, Chris will find more later. I don't know where the rags are. Mark, where are the rags?
I got one in my exhaust.
I saw a big stack. I bet Matt stole them. He's doing the wiring. He keeps getting his hands dirty. Loser. Yes, ma'am. Okay, and who asked that question? Ron St. Ange. Ron St. Ange.
Ron St. Ange.
On Facebook. A completely unrelated question. Thank you, Ron, for paying attention to the segment. What's the best way for him to Dyna tune his 96 Dyna, Harley Dyna?
96 cubic inch.
It's a 1996 Dyna wide glide.
I do mine on the road, more by seat of the pants and feel. Usually start, depending on what size cams he's got in the bike, what kind of exhaust and air cleaner. If he's running a stock CV carburetor, let's say drag pipes with a stage 1 Screaming Eagle air cleaner, a 180 main jet, and a 42 to a 45 idle jet, and start from there.
That's good. All right. Thank you, Ron. Thank you. Yeah, I do a podcast, Sin Central Potty, and then people will send questions in. And it's always weird. It's like Dear Abby questions. They'll start asking me relationship advice. You know, my girlfriend doesn't like, my motorcycle, and what do you think I should do? And I'm like, well, break up with her. These are dumb questions. My parents don't think I should ride a motorcycle. They say it's dangerous. Well, don't visit them. My parents live in Florida. I haven't seen them in 2 years. It's fine. They'll live.
Oh. Move out. You're 37 years old.
Move out. You're 37 years old. Yeah. Stop dating.
You can ride whatever you want when you pay your own bills.
That's right. Yeah. They don't like it. Now, are we just doing a stock clutch?
We are going back with an EBC clutch. Stock clutches are great. They're a great component. I like the EBC clutch.
Okay.
Bang for the buck. Great product.
All right.
It's not quite as much as the OE clutch, but you get just as much, if not more, life out of it.
Very good.
I need a...
What do you need? What do you need? I got it.
10 millimeter socket.
10 millimeter?
1/4 inch drive socket. I thought I brought one. Apparently I didn't.
10 millimeter, 1/4 inch drive socket. Look at that.
Just TV magic.
TV magic. The 10 millimeter socket is one of the most elusive sockets in the socket world. It is not unlike a Sasquatch.
No.
They have been seen but can never be found. That is...
And you always lose it at the most inappropriate time.
Oh, man, I tell you, I'm a one-guy shop, right? And I can set something... Well, we did it here yesterday. I can set something down, turn around, and it's gone. I don't know how that happens. It's shop magic.
So when Pat was talking earlier about us making the claim that we'll ride this motorcycle off the show by the end of this show, like he said, that was in Long Beach. Long Beach was 3 months ago. Everything looked great by then. We were like, oh, we got all winter to build that bike.
We were going to be thinner this show, remember?
I know. So many failures.
So many failures.
But what you don't think about is 7 shows. Each one of those shows takes 5 days by the time you set up and tear down, driving back and forth across the country. So those 7 shows were effectively 8 weeks of our time by the time you add up all the driving, California, New York, Minneapolis, Texas.
So now you got 4 weeks.
Right.
4 weeks to build a bike.
We also publish a magazine every 30 days, and there was 3 issues of the magazine in there. So that's another 3 weeks gone. So we're effectively dealing with 1 week.
And Christmas and Thanksgiving.
Somewhere in there was Christmas and Thanksgiving, yeah.
It was a brutal decision. Yeah, it's not.
Well, we're getting close.
Not known for our thinking or planning abilities. They yell at me because I stand in front of that camera. All right, what are you doing now, Hank?
We're actually removing the old clutches now, the frictions and the steels.
And you just use a pick tool to do that?
Just use a pick. They just slide out. There's nothing special about them. The pressure plate, you always want to make sure you check your bearing in the pressure plate, make sure it's not failing. Check your springs for breakage or cracks or fatigue.
What is an indication that your bearing is failing in there?
You'll see.
It doesn't move?
Well, that's a good indication. The other one is
no longer bearing?
Yeah, no, it's solid.
Yeah.
It doesn't rotate. Usually they'll leave trails of metallic trails from the outside of the bearing or from the inside of the bearing out.
So if your bearing is making its own clearance, you need to replace it.
It's making room to fit.
Yeah, exactly.
We kind of changed these clutches for the customer. One for the show, but secondly, the customer was actually complaining about slippage under higher RPMs, third, fourth gear slippage. The VTX 1800, it's a torque monster if you've never ridden one. If you ride a big inch Harley, you see one, don't jump on him.
Yeah.
I mean, they're great bikes, phenomenal bikes.
Hole shots on bikes wear out your clutch. You know, if every time the light turns green, you dump the clutch and hit the throttle, you know, that's just winding those things up. Now, to Hank, while you're doing that, talk a little bit about how can people adjust their riding style to give longevity to their clutch?
Clutches are designed to slip. Wet clutches are designed to slip on like a clutch in a car where it's a dry friction clutch. You're physically, every time you're slipping it hard for long periods of time, you're heating the clutch and you're vulcanizing the clutch disc. Whereas a motorcycle clutch, it's a wet clutch, it's designed to slip. So hard accelerations, burnouts. I know nobody does burnouts on the bike.
No, because that's irresponsible.
That's irresponsible. Costs on tires, wear and tear on the bike. Just irrational.
Terrible.
I mean, all those things, you know, if you can alleviate some of those things, it'll definitely add time.
Riding the clutch is
it's okay. It's really okay.
It's really okay because they're wet.
Because they're a wet clutch.
Okay, so you can ride
the biggest contributor to clutch life failure, changing the oil, maintenance. Maintenance is everything.
There are some great instructors out there teaching you how to ride. I always love to see the motorcycle cops ride their bikes. I don't know if you've ever seen those. Do the Shriners still do that? Okay, I haven't been to a parade in a long time. My kids grew up, and so my sentence is over. I don't have to go to parades anymore. Oh, this is fun. Look at the clown. Oh, you're scared of the clown. That's awesome. Let's go home. And they always do parades when it's cold. Have you guys noticed that? What's that about? I mean, 4th of July parades, they're not cold. All the other parades are. They're all in the winter. I don't like it. Anyway, watching those guys ride, but if you'll actually get some instruction, they'll show you how to use that clutch and your brake to be able to maintain good traction. And so you'll want to do that. A lot of folks are afraid to pull their clutch because they don't want to ride, but that's a myth with motorcycles and a reality with car clutches. If you're riding your clutch in your car,
you'll burn it up.
Get an automatic because you don't know how to drive a stick. Yeah, you'll burn it up. So you smell it. All right,
so we've got all of our clutches out. The things that we want to be looking at in our clutch basket and clutch hub assembly, on metric bikes especially, is your riding surfaces where your friction plates and the steel plates ride. If you get a customer who comes in, they're complaining of the clutch kind of chattering when it engages or disengages. Usually you've got a lot of wear in the grooving surfaces where the plates actually physically engage.
In the basket there.
In the basket and on the hub. If it's questionable, I've seen guys go in with a flat file. They'll file them out. It's kind of like a Band-Aid on a broken leg. It slows up the bleeding. That's about it.
You're already gone this far. Go ahead and buy the whole assembly.
Spend a couple $100 to get the whole assembly. But at this point, like I said before, there's no gasket that comes on this. So we're going to use a Permatex to seal it back up. But this is a good time to use your like a 3M Scotch-Brite pad to clean up your gasket surfaces. Here, there won't be much there. I've already cleaned it all off now for time. Secondly, we want to clean up all this area here. So when back together, I usually wrap everything up with rags while I'm cleaning to keep debris and whatnot out of there. It's safe at this point if you get debris and stuff in there. Degreaser, brake clean, or whatever, spray it out, rinse it all out, and get all that crap out of there.
One of the most common things that I see coming into the shop when somebody's complaining about a leak is that whoever did work to the motorcycle before didn't clean the surface as well.
Exactly.
And it doesn't matter if you're using RTV or a gasket.
Yep.
If you leave residual gasket material on there, it's going to leak at that point.
Well, and the flip side to that is too much RTV is just as bad as not enough.
Not enough, yeah.
If you see a 1/4 inch bead of RTV on the outside, it's on the inside too.
Yeah. And that will just cause oil to weep.
Yes.
I mean, that gives it a surface to connect with and run right back out. At least that's what I saw the guy say on YouTube. So YouTube told me that.
DIY videos?
Yeah. If you guys, I'll mention that while he's getting this ready. If you can watch YouTube and get a lot of handy hints on what you're going to do to your motorcycle, but it's kind of like, any of you ever read the Bible? Awesome. Okay, some of you are just going straight to hell. I mean, Lord Jesus, just found to forgive. No, that's they always say, you can read one commentary, but balance it against a couple of others. Don't take just one guy's word for what it says. But the same thing's true of YouTube. Check out YouTube. There's a bunch of jackwads out there that have a phone and access to mouth noises, and they say stupid things. So make sure you balance that stuff.
One of the things we want to make sure we look at, we're going to reuse our steel plates. Usually with metric bikes, unless lack of maintenance, we don't generally see them get burned up.
Okay.
And usually if they've gone bad, they'll be black, blue, hot spotted, things of that nature, and you'll distinct smell.
Okay. And talk to us a little bit. You've got two different kinds of plates. You've got steel plates and friction plates.
Here's our stock friction plates. One of the things we can see is an indication that the clutch was actually slipping, like the customer was talking about. The smearing and the glazing of the friction plate, that's usually a higher RPM slippage where the oil's hot and it's breaking down in the clutch pad. This is our steel plate. The steel plates are made with divots and whatnot on the top of the plate so it engages the clutch surface.
Okay. And do those divots also, with the little texture there, does that also help give oil a place to stay and holds oil in there? Okay.
Yep. And one of the things I liked about our EBC clutches, there's a whole lot more friction surface for this clutch. This is the OEM clutch. This is the EBC clutch. This one's 2/3 the cost of this one, and you get
more meat. Yeah,
you get more life out of this one.
Yeah.
So we've already soaked our clutches. We're going to start putting them back in.
And the order is you go friction plate,
steel plate, friction plate, steel plate till you run out.
So yes, yeah. So when don't put all your friction plates in, then put all your steel plates in. You're going to be very disappointed. Very disappointed.
You'll be rapidly taking it back apart.
Yes. The other thing is, it sounds simple. He started with the friction plate, then he puts the steel plate in. It needs to go in that order, and so just you can say just remember that. I always take pictures, and if you had to take a picture of each one coming out, or the last one that's in there, so that you know the order they come back out in, just protect yourself. Take the time, set up practices that are gonna help you be successful. If it's one thing to say, no, I'll remember that, and then the phone rings and you got to go to the hospital or you got to run over here, and then you get back and you say, oh man, what was that? So take pictures.
Mark, label everything.
Mark, label everything. When you go into a strip club, turn your phone off because you don't want to butt dial your mom. It's not cool.
Your wife.
My mom said that's not cool. I turn my phone off now. It's just as simple as you got to, in your life, set up scenarios to help you be more successful.
Well, I tell you, off subject. I had a good customer come in one day, and he was complaining about his front brakes making noise. He needed new brake pads. So I verified. I went and looked at his brake pads. It was a Yamaha, and I was like, "Yeah, sure enough, man." I said, "You need new brake pads. The metal to metal on the rotor. Rotor was all eat up." He complained. He said, "Man, I just had the bike in at the dealership 6 months ago." I said, "Dang, man, really?" He's like, "Okay." I said, "Well, leave it with me. I'll have to order brake pads, and we'll get you a new rotor." I take it apart. I take the caliper off. The brake pads are put on backwards.
Oh, my God.
By the dealership. Now, being the person that I am, I said, okay, do I throw the dealership under the bus, or do I call them first, see if they'll make it right?
Right.
I call them up. They validated that he was there. And I said, what do you want to do? I mean, morally, you should say, hey, I'm
going to pay to have that
we'll fix
shop
it for you.
yeah.
You know, they said, no, it's been 6 months. I was like, you sure? Because I don't think you'll come back.
That's customer service in the United States these days, unfortunately.
So, again, what you're talking about, checking and taking
pictures, you know.
Right.
And it's particularly important. Now, you don't work by yourself at the shop, though?
No, I've got Patrick. He's sitting down here in the front row. He's my part-timer.
So, basically, you're by yourself. I've met Patrick before.
Yeah, he's special ed. Usually, a lot of times, I use a mirror a lot.
Yeah, so just to make sure he's breathing. Yeah.
Draw a circle, maybe some duct tape on the floor.
Yeah.
See if he moves out of his circle.
Yeah,
that sort of thing.
Yeah, tape his fingers together so he can't get all the tools. Yeah, I know.
A lot of times I'll grease his toolbox. And
I'm a one-man show. I had guys that used to work for me, and I nearly hung one of them from a chain hoist. And finally, I was like, I don't really need employees. And a true story. It was not a good situation. But I will, when I get done building a bike, if it's an extensive job, always with a custom motorcycle, I will find the shop in town that likes me the least, that would love to be able to pick my stuff apart and tell everybody in town what I did wrong. And I take it to that shop, and I have them go over from stem to stern to see what they can find, because if there's anything wrong with that bike, they're going to find it. So, but you do always want to be able to have enough knowledge about your bike to be able to double check. If your customer had any basic working knowledge of brakes at all, they would have been able to figure out something was up as soon as they left the dealership.
Well, the immediate grinding noise.
The smell.
Well, and that's why I went back. I was like, okay, well, I kind of put a little bit of responsibility on the customer as well as the dealership.
Yeah.
We do a service on a bike, and they drive 5 miles and their tire goes flat, and they ran over a rock or something. I've had customers come back and say, hey, man, you just changed my oil, my tire's flat.
Yeah, oh, yeah. Yeah. Don't do that, by the way. Man, I've replaced tail lights. People come in, and my brake light's not working. All right, I'll pop the lid, put a new bulb in. Hey, don't worry about it. Just hit me up next time you need something bigger. 2 months later, they come back, and they're like, hey, man, my bike's not charging. It was doing fine until you replaced that bulb. And I'm like, yeah, I'm sorry. You're going to need to go to the dealer for that. I'm not dealing with you anymore, ever again. So, but whenever you get a bike, though, whatever you're riding, if you don't have one now, if you got a bike, if you don't have the service manual for it, get the service manual. You can go online and order service manuals relatively inexpensively. You're going to be in a place between $20 and $35 probably for a service manual. You can get them now that you can download for cheap, maybe even for a buck or two. You can download PDF service manuals for bikes. So now, is there a particular tension you're putting on those?
Yeah, torque spec is 18 to 20. It's about 15 foot-pounds, somewhere around 125 or so inch-pounds.
Okay.
I didn't bring a torque wrench with me, so.
All right. So
we'll go by.
We'll do that later. So,
but when I get back to the shop, I'll take the cover back up.
But we cover that in every segment, regardless of what we're doing. We just did a Springer conversion the last segment.
Have a quarter-inch torque wrench?
Torque wrench? Yeah. Mark.
Let me see.
Chris, Mark. Torque wrench.
Do you have a quarter-inch drive torque?
Quarter-inch torque wrench? Nope.
No. Okay.
So we cover that in every segment. You want to make sure that you do look. The reason I say get a service manual, because I knew we were getting up to this point, you're going to want to torque things to the specification that's in there. And a torque wrench lets you get something tight to the exact pound that you put it on, twisty mechanism, and then it won't tighten it anymore, particularly when you're doing motor work.
Well, especially when we're talking about something like this. This is a 6mm bolt, and it's from the factory. It's only a grade 5 bolt. You could easily wring this bolt off or strip the threads out of your clutch hub with a 1/4-inch ratchet, either this one, or if you think you're not getting it tight enough, use a little one, and you want to get a little bit tighter, and you still break the bolt off in there, and then you're buying a clutch hub.
Yeah, and those bolts from the dealer are probably $700 a piece. You know, you're going to have the only bike that use that bolt. So, but yeah, so plus if you get a torque wrench, none of your buddies have one. You're the coolest guy. And when you start talking, well, you know, what did you torque that to? They'll be, I don't know. It was a knob on the bathroom door. Was there a torque spec there? I don't know. Well, let me get my torque wrench. We'll just check.
Don't get the Harbor Freight torque wrench.
Don't get the Harbor Freight torque wrenches. If you're going to invest, you can get a good torque wrench, $50, $75, and it's going to last you forever.
Yep.
So just go ahead and get a decent torque wrench, and because everything on your bike. Plus, you probably should be going over your motorcycle anyway. Every time you have it serviced or service it yourself, you should go over the bike with a torque wrench, and just to make sure that everything's nice and tight and fitting well. I can't tell you how many rear shocks I've replaced just because the bolt came loose. Over time, it'll happen. I mean, it's banging around, and it wobbles things out. So you'll want to go around your bike and just make sure that you got everything nice and torqued to spec. And it's a pretty tool. You don't put it in your toolbox. You hang it on your garage wall so your buddies know you have a torque wrench.
All right. So we've already cleaned, prepped our surface.
Yes.
So we need RTV.
Let me open this for you. This is brand new RTV.
Virgin.
You're high dollar, brother.
Special occasion.
Oh, don't put the cap back.
Well, I don't need the cap put back.
You don't need the cap back. Open it up and close it. We need do you have a cutting device?
Sure do.
They took mine at the airport. Very disappointed.
I'm sorry. Want mine?
No, I'm going to get another one. They took my Leatherman. That's what upset me. I'd had that thing for 6 years. Buddy bought it for me. I felt so much safer on the plane knowing that I didn't have my Leatherman, though. Just saying. I probably could have gotten in the cockpit with a Leatherman, though. Maybe it made sense.
Just about
this is like drawn on top of a cake.
It would, yes, writing on top of a cake. We'd want to put about a 16th inch bead across the gasket surface area. Doesn't have to be perfect. Any more than about what I'm putting on is going to be entirely too much.
Now, I see you're using the gray. There's black.
Right.
Is there a reason you made that choice?
Well, the biggest difference between the gray and black is temperature ratings, and whether or not it's resistant to different types of petroleum bases and things of that nature. Gray and black are close enough. You could use black in this situation, but the motor is silver. Black sticks out.
There you go. The nice thing about any of this RTV, you know, I mean, if you put a little bit too much on and it does squeeze out over the top, or you get it on something, let it dry before you try to remove it.
Yes.
It'll be like a rubber band when you pull it off. If you try to remove it when it's still tacky, it'll just smear and you'll never get it off for some reason I haven't figured out.
Oh, it'll be in your clothes. It'll be in your hair.
Yeah, it'll be everywhere. Doing a really good job, Hank.
I do a lot of cakes on the inside.
Is your wife here with you?
No, she's still back in North Carolina.
All right.
I brought my son with me instead.
Oh, he is here.
Yeah, he's over there talking to people now about the bikes.
Very good. Working for that Show Dog Award.
That's exactly right.
The JMP Cycles Ultimate Builder Custom Bike Show has several awards. One of them is the Show Dog Award, and you're able to, that's for the person that hung out by the bike and engaged with the public the most. So that's always really nice. Jackie, tell us what you have going on at the Progressive Parlor over there.
Well, in the Progressive Parlor back here, we are still hooking you up with all sorts of awesome free stuff back here. So come on back, get yourself signed up with any of my lovely girls with the iPads in their hands, because we're signing you up for your chance to win our current grand prize giveaway bike. We're giving away that beautiful custom BMW Scrambler. And this is it. Last chance, last weekend to enter to win that beautiful bike. And when you get signed up with my lovely girls with the iPads in their hands, I got some freebies and goodies at the back counter for you while you're here, just for entering that great contest. It's absolutely free. It only takes 1 moment to enter. And this is it. Last chance to enter to win that beautiful BMW. So come on over and do take advantage while you are here at Progressive Motorcycle Insurance. And if you're just now joining us, we are just in the middle of another great presentation from our friends at Grease and Gears Garage.
Thank you, Jackie. You know, one of the things I do like about metric bikes is, that it's a little redundant. I mean, like on Harleys, you pull a cover off, things are going to fall out. So at least this gives you a chance to practice taking something off before you actually get to the meat of the project. So.
Metric bikes are notorious for having covers on top of covers.
Covers on covers on covers.
Kind of like their electrical systems. They have relays controlling relays that are controlled by sensors.
Yeah, that's why I build custom bikes, man. If it has fuel injection, I convert it to a carb, I rip the wiring harness off of it, I throw the computer away, and I put 11 wires on that thing. If you need to know which direction I'm going, watch my arms, I'm gonna... Thank you.
I appreciate you. There we go. That one.
You want a souvenir? It's trash. I got you. I'm real sorry about that. It's kind of funny though because you took it. So.
Like any aluminum cover, we want to make sure we start in the center, work our way out, and we started back here at one point here, and you can see with all the bolts installed, you have no idea that any of them are different lengths.
Right.
And out of the 20 or so bolts that are in here, there's 3 different length bolts.
Wow. So it's important to keep that straight.
Right. That's why then put them back together. No problem.
And now you are doing this with a
18 millimeter impact driver.
Impact wrench. But you're not gonna.
I'm not gonna hammer it in. When I get back to the shop, I gotta take it back apart anyhow.
Torque everything down.
Yep.
I would suggest if you're doing this in your home shop, well, the likelihood is you're not gonna have an impact wrench anyway. I mean, that's not a common tool. Hand tools, this would be a good way just to spit them in by hand. He's got a good touch with the impact. Sometimes it's tempting to get carried away with it. A lot of guys drink while they're working on their bikes. Just saying. Put practices in place to make you more successful in your life. I'm just saying.
Right. Ta-da.
What do you need?
My socket for the head.
I got my stuff sitting all over in your area. I'm thirsty.
Where the hell did I put it?
Man, I was shaking my peanut M&M box back there, and she's talking. Had one left in it, and the little thing was flapping. Rolled off stage. Yeah, because I bought that thing here. I probably paid $15 for that box of peanut M&M. Oh, yeah, it is.
Oh, there you go. What the hell is
Thank you.
Hey.
It's got that hard candy shell. I don't think anything can stick to it. If I'd have dropped a scoop of peanut butter, probably wouldn't have eaten it off the stage. But since that was probably a $4 M&M, it's worth it. Little things you don't think about too, like
I'm gonna throw the bolts on the floor first.
I'd bend over and pick that up, but I'd run out of breath. These are chrome covers. It's real tempting to just kind of set them down. Make sure you got enough space, and make sure that you don't set it down on the chrome. Chrome's tough, but you're gonna scratch it just like that as soon as you do that. I actually didn't know those were redundant covers on a Honda. Now everyone I see, I'm going to be like, why didn't that guy take those off and do something with them?
And honestly, in my opinion, I like the look without them. It gives a little bit more mechanical.
Little more mechanical. Yeah, you can just pull them off and it looks cool.
I'd like these. Those are just covers. That's just a
Really?
cover. Yeah. I mean,
What are they trying to hide?
the motor.
So, it doesn't have a motor. No carbon footprint.
Incognito. My favorite one's a Yamaha V-Star 650. All of the chrome that's on the bike is literally nothing more than a chrome cover. The chrome covers here, the rocker boxes.
There's nothing else. It doesn't do anything.
You can take every damn bit of it off and the bike still functions.
Yeah, we need to go with the yoga pant theory of motorcycle accessories. Don't hide anything. I mean, if you're wearing yoga pants, that and George Washington can't tell a lie. You know the whole truth in yoga pants. Because every time I wear mine, people tell me, well, I can see everything. No mystery. There's a girl over here at the Norton place earlier dressed up in the go-go boots, the white go-go boots, and that I thought she was just walking around in a shirt. It's kind of cool, a real retro vibe there. My first ride was on one of those 1974 850 Norton Commando.
One of my favorite bikes.
A lot of fun. Now, do you do a lot of stuff with vintage bikes in your shop, or?
Yes and no.
That's a tough
It's a
demographic.
tough market.
Yeah.
Well, we'd work on everything. I've worked on everything from about the oldest so far as 54. As old as I've gone back, I did a rebuild on a 54 Cervicar, 48 Cervicar, and then next one after that, I did a Moto Guzzi. Ended up in a book by Uli Klossi.
Oh, nice.
Did a Eldorado 850. It was a cool bike.
Yeah. Hard part about doing stuff with British bikes, and I think even if they're honest, the guys that own vintage British motorcycles will tell you this. Really, any vintage motorcycle, Harleys tend to hold their value just incredibly well. You can spend twice as much on a vintage metric bike than what its value is ever going to reach. I mean, you can just, so it becomes a hard market to work in.
Well, it's even harder to sell.
What's that?
It's even harder to sell.
Yeah.
Man,
There's just not a lot of guys.
Which is the challenge when it comes to selling custom bikes in general.
Yeah.
When you build a custom bike, you've made such a narrow market in the bike. Selling it with any value is almost impossible.
Trust me, brother, I am the proud owner of a 2014 Continental GT Royal Enfield 70 style chopper. That is a narrow market. I did not realize it is the only, if you Google Royal Enfield 70 style chopper,
Your name?
nothing pops up except my bike. There's one in the history of Royal Enfield. I didn't know that when I built it. But everybody else was building cafe racers out of them.
I've got one like that. I've got a 83 GPZ 750 chopper, Kawasaki, that I built. I brought it here last year.
Oh, cool.
I still own it.
Yeah. But everybody was building cafe racers out of these bikes for them. And I said, it's already a cafe racer. What do you want me to do, paint it? So I went a different direction. I'm probably going to own that bike for a long time, though.
There we go.
That's it?
That is it.
Now all you would do is pop your exhaust back on?
Throw the exhaust on, top our oil,
Let it rock and
put a new
roll.
oil filter on it. That'd be it.
That's phenomenal. Now, how many of you before you sat down? Yes, sir, you got a question. You don't have to adjust the clutch?
It's a hydraulic clutch. The one thing I didn't cover, thank you for bringing it up, when I put the clutch pressure plate back on there before I set screws in, the release mechanism for the clutch comes out through the center of the clutch basket. Real simple, takes a little bit of pressure, push it back in, just like if you're squeezing the pistons in your brake caliper to put brake pads in. Same thing, just apply a little bit of pressure, push it back in. The other thing I'd like to touch on that, if your clutch fluid is low, don't add to it. The reason it's low is because it's down here, because your clutch is worn out. Same thing with brake fluid. If your brake fluid is low, don't add the brake fluid. Put new brake pads in it and replace the brake fluid.
Yeah. Well, and figure out where it went.
Yeah, it doesn't burn.
It's a closed system, so if it's gone, it's not magic.
No, you didn't use
Harry
it.
Potter did not come and Levitar Lioso or whatever your fluid away. You gotta. It went away. So yeah, and that is the nice thing on most metric bikes is they have hydraulic clutches, so it adjusts itself. I mean, they're self-adjusting, which is
well, it's
really
like
nice.
you don't adjust the brakes in your car.
Right.
It's the same thing. Same thing with this. That's I'm a proponent of all motorcycles, and so I try to look for the good in all the motorcycles, as far as the pros and cons. Harley puts out a great product. Honda puts out a great product. Suzuki, Yamaha, everybody's great products out there. Everybody just has their favorites.
Yeah.
We try to service all of our clients with whatever brand of bike they got.
There you go. Well, and that is truly unusual. How many of you out there would have thought that, obviously with us kind of just being very relaxed and explaining it and talking, that is how simple it would be to replace your clutches? How many of you thought it was going to be that easy? Exactly. Oh, Pat, you shut up. Oh, God, I didn't like him the first time I met him. And he's got my name.
Kindred spirits.
Let's just call him Murphy.
Murphy.
With a name like Patrick Murphy, I can't believe he even shows up,
We call him.
I can't believe he's just not always in the weeds, smelling a strong drink and vile women.
Well.
Oh, what's your name? Patrick Murphy? Oh, you're not getting a job here. I can tell you that right now, Patrick Murphy. My name's Pat. My mom's name's Pat. Her only brother's name's Pat. My grandfather's name's Pat. We have the same problem. That's why I'm self-employed. Well, ladies and gentlemen, that is the install on a VTX for a clutch, man. And you made it simple and easy. It's accessible. Folks, you can do this. You can get your hands dirty on your bike. If you start to get in trouble, you can always call Hank, call the shop, call me in tomorrow. Ask the question, say, hey, listen, man, I was trying, I gave it my best shot. I got halfway through this. I'm totally screwed right now. What do I do? And take some pictures, send them. You can get walked through it. We want people. I cost myself money at my shop, and I'm sure you do, by saying to regular customers, you can service your own bike. I mean, I can charge you the $280 to change your fluids, but you can do this and to help them walk in the relationship with their bike, and they're going to want to do stuff later that they can't.
Road trips. If you're familiar with your bike and you're familiar with the product, our customers or clients, we like them to be empowered. I want them to be, if you've got accessibility to do those things, man, don't
cross country. So, I mean, get on it and ride it. You buy the part or you have it overnighted to you, and the part push it in the room.
Well, and really this job right here, we used a half a dozen different tools to take the bike apart and put it together, and nothing special. We used to take the exhaust off, we would have used a 12 millimeter socket. Down the side of the road. Conceptually, you could change that clutch, not knowing what you're doing, in 2 hours, for less than $200 for the engine oil, the filter, the gasket material, the clutch, everything.
Because at a shop, what's that going to run?
In my shop, I charge with the exhaust and everything on there. It's usually a 2-hour job, so it's $100 in labor, and then the cost of materials. So usually out the door, it's $300, $350, somewhere in that area.
You go to a dealer, it's going to probably be a little more. It's going to go
40% to that.
Add about 40%, so you're going to be up more towards $500-600 range to do that. Yep. So if you learn to do these things, now you've got money. Now that's trip money. You just saved enough money for a long weekend trip on your motorcycle.
Take your wife out to eat.
Take your wife. A long trip on your motorcycle.
Beer money.
His wife, she's sweet, but on the long trip on a motorcycle. All right. Well, Hank, thank you so much. Man, it's good to see you again.
Yes,
check out his bikes up here. That's Grease and Gears Garage for now. Lots of other stuff on the Progressive stage. We're back at 5:30. with some cool cats out of Florida that are going to be talking to us about suspension. At 3 o'clock, we're going to have a panel of builders up here that I'm going to interview. So go enjoy the show. Come back and see us. Thanks so much.
Well, thanks so much. Put your hands together, ready for Grease and Gears Garage. They're going to be up there.